You're all set, Chairperson.
Okay, let me get this. All right. Oops. All right, this meeting is taking place entirely by teleconference via Zoom. The public is accessing the meeting via Santa Ana YouTube channel or the city's website. The subcommittee members and I, along with the city staff and recording secretary, are in different locations. Please bear with us as the technology may disrupt the flow of the evening. Good evening, everybody. I would like to call the December 5th, 2022 joint school collaboration city council meeting subcommittee regular meeting to order at 6:04. Will the recording secretary please call roll?
Thank you, Chairperson. Subcommittee Member Mendoza.
Present.
Subcommittee
Present.
Member Hernandez.
Present.
Subcommittee Member Alvarez. Subcommittee Member Lopez.
Present.
Chairperson Torres.
Present.
You have a quorum, Chairperson.
Thank you. Ms. Lopez, can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, give me one moment, please.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for your patience. I'm sorry about that. So if you are near a flag, please stand and put your right hand over your heart. We will begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Lopez. Nick, I'm sorry, my screen keeps coming out for the agenda. Please, next on the agenda is time for public comments. Recording secretary, does anybody wish to speak? I do see a couple hands.
Thank you, Chairperson Torres. Yes, we do have public comments. I also would like to remind the public that if you would like to provide comments, please use the raise hand feature at the bottom of the Zoom. First up is Jefferson PTO. Jefferson PTO, go ahead. You have 3 minutes for your comments.
I'm sorry about the name. It's actually Marisela Guzman. I can't change it. I am part of the PTO at Jefferson, but I am here today to thank you guys for the crossing guard at Jefferson Elementary. We did get a temporary crossing guard until the construction is done, I was told. So I do want to thank you for that. I know we've been working hard. A lot of the parents are here tonight as well. And in this meeting, if we've been pushing for this, so I do want to take the time to thank you. But unfortunately, our efforts to get a crossing guard turned into what I call a targeting of the little push cart vendors. At Jefferson Elementary, fortunately, there is no concern from, at least not from the parents. I believe it's a neighbor that is bringing this issue up, and they've already shooed away the vendor. I was able to get a hold of some information regarding the sidewalk vending that pertains to Senate Bill 946, which they are allowed to. So I don't know if you guys can work together to, kind of help us out and have those push cart vendors not be targeted by certain people that don't want them near their home in particular. So I can provide additional information off this, to your emails if you'd like. I'll go ahead and send that out to you. But this vendor was targeted and actually taken pictures of the license plate. The cops were called, and the cops did shoo them away with a warning. But I don't think it pertains to the no vending sign that they placed at Jefferson. And again, this was not a concern parents brought up with our efforts to get a crossing guard at Jefferson. And this is signs that were put up on Rita Way off of Adams Street. Once again, I do thank you for the crossing guard, and I hope that that crossing guard stays there because it has alleviated a lot of the traffic, particularly in the morning when kids are walking to school, and really has helped. As I mentioned at the school board meeting, there's a parent that's actually on this call that was lightly struck by a vehicle in that area. So I just want to make sure that that does not happen to a child, where luckily the driver was able to see this parent and not back up into her and run her over. But I could just imagine if it was a child that was not visible to the driver. So again, thank you so much. And I appreciate you letting us come on here and comment to this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Up next is Mr. Carl Bellinger. Mr. Bellinger, you have 3 minutes for your comments.
Thank you very much. I hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving, and if I don't get a chance, wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I'm very glad to see Councilman Hernandez bring the issue on the agenda tonight to talk about a meeting in the schools. It's getting cold, and we've had a number of neighborhood meetings outside, including the one at Hedinger Park, which I'll be meeting with the principal on Thursday. Hopefully we can get agreement between there, because they've been meeting in a basketball court and it's getting cold and dark in the evenings. I think we're very close to resolving this thing, but we just need that last push. So whatever you can give us, we would greatly appreciate. The neighborhoods would appreciate it. And we're not talking every neighborhood association. We're only talking about 10. And they have given the schedule to both Jerry and Oren, so they know what our demands are. And we do have the city manager looking into insurance, cost of it to the city, which may come back to the council for approval. But if we get the final push over, I would greatly appreciate it. Now I have to run to go do a basketball game, do the scores board and the clock. And it turns out to be Santa Ana Schools playing at Mater Dei tonight, Tuesday and Wednesday. So in a way, though I am with Mater Dei, I'm working with Santa Ana Schools tonight. So with that, whatever you can do for us, I will greatly be appreciative. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Chairperson, at this point in time, I don't see any other hands being raised for comments, so I will deem the public comment section over for the day.
All right, thank you. Next on the agenda is the consent calendar, including the minutes from the last meeting and excused absences. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from, actually, do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I'll make a motion to move the item.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Do we need to do roll call on this?
Yes, Chairperson.
Okay.
Subcommittee Member Mendoza,
Yes.
Subcommittee Member Hernandez,
Yes.
Subcommittee Member Lopez.
Yeah.
Chairperson Torres.
Yes.
Duly noted.
Thank you. We're going to move on to new business. So we have I believe the neighborhood associations. I'm going to turn this over to Subcommittee Member Hernandez for item 3.
Thank you. Well, first and foremost, everybody, thank you all for your time today. And I hope everybody had a good holiday break. I agendized this item out of an abundance of caution leading into the new year. I have met with many different community organizations, most notably in the Ward 5 district. And there was a neighborhood in the Sullivan neighborhood that I found a large need was a space for organizations and residents to meet. Since there is not one, but there is a school that is adjacent to this neighborhood, I figured this would be a great opportunity for us to discuss. I think that ultimately school spaces are community spaces. And I think that, of course, for us to have the doors open to the community after hours would be a very good solution. And I think it's something that could be cost effective for the city and for the school board. What I am proposing is that organizations like Sullivan en Acción or neighborhood associations have access to utilizing our schools after hours. To keep it pretty simple, that's what today's discussion will be about.
Does anybody want to speak on this? Their council members or staff?
Yes, I would like to agree with my colleague Hernandez is that historically, our organizations have used the classrooms without any fee. And because these are public, it's a public property and they are the public. And so it is rightful that they continue to be these neighborhood associations be continued to be allowed to use the classrooms or any space that is available to them during for the neighborhood association meetings without a cost. And so we need to figure out a way to do it so that they do not incur any fee, because they do not make a profit. They actually don't have any money when in the neighborhood associations. They fundraise for whatever events that they're going to have. So I totally agree. And so let's see how we can find a solution to this once and for all, so that it can continue for our neighborhood associations not to have this kind of issue in the future.
Any other commentary?
Happy to comment, Chair. This is not the first time that we discussed this issue with this group. And I know that staff on both sides with the city of Santa Ana and the school district are having ongoing conversation. And I just want to reiterate that whatever policy comes forth for our respective bodies is inclusive of community organizations that maybe don't necessarily identify as a neighborhood association. So that's what I would like to see. Thank you.
Thank you. I remember when we talked about this at not the last meeting, because that didn't happen, but the meeting before that there was those two kind of strands of questions. One was a neighborhood association and one was community groups. And I think I mentioned Sullivan at that point as well. Because I believe I was told by the city, and if they can remind me if I'm correct, that the neighborhood associations meet at the city community centers for free, but not other community groups. And I think that was also part of the discussion, and how would a community group have that kind of access for the community centers as well, without being neighborhood associations. And so I think those conversations were kind of in the air. And then Jerry, I don't know if you can speak to generally how, if somebody wants to use our facility and if they're, how it works.
Yeah, we generally, our facilities are available to the public anytime anybody wishes to use them. If it's during school hours, I believe as they work out the schedule with the site administrators, there is no cost. And after school hours, we are asking for a cost based on current board policy, and then for the insurance as well. And so that kind of is the issue, I think, for our community neighborhood associations, is the cost of the custodial cost of electricity, as well as potentially any insurance that is needed as well.
Yeah, so I think that was kind of, I think this conversation started with like specifically the neighborhood association. Now it's kind of broadening out to community groups that are not official neighborhood associations. So I think if the council members can bring that back to their body as well, like how to support non-neighborhood association groups, and then we can expand our conversations, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I have a question for Scott Hawk online, and Jerry, I don't know if there's anything that maybe both of you can share with us and with the public about where we are, because again, this is, it feels like we've been having this conversation for a while now.
Hawk, I'll start, and then you fill in any gaps that I don't address. I do know that our district staff is currently in conversations with Hawk and his team. There are a number of agreements that the district has with the city, some of them formal, some of them informal. I believe both of our teams are going through those agreements and bringing them current, or where none exists, we're formalizing them. And then really looking at the best way that we can both utilize our facilities in an equitable manner that we both, the district and the city, become good partners in this collaborative effort to make sure that we provide the facilities and other resources to the community. And I think that's the challenge that we both have, Hawk being new and, kind of assessing all of the MOUs and then reviewing the ones that we do have and then discovering the ones that we may not have formalized. And so just vetting those with our teams internally. And then I've asked my team to, once that vetting is done, to make a recommendation to me so I can bring back to the Board of Education, and then we can let our electeds kind of work things out at that level. Hawk, I don't know if I left anything out.
No, you're right. And like I said, my team met with your team last week and we're starting out at Godinez, to kind of make that as a basis of creating one, like just one for district wide. And like I said, they had a really good meeting and we're going to meet again to, make recommendations. But like, as Mr. Jerry said, there are just so many MOUs, so many different things, and we'd like to get to a standard one where it's for facilities, for neighborhood association, stuff like that. So I mean, he pretty much hit it right on the nail.
Yeah, that's yeah, I know that I appreciate the community coming out and continually reminding us to keep this a priority, and that you all have been meeting pretty consistently and talking through. I did realize quickly while I was on the board that there was a lot of informal things. And so it's kind of formalizing that so that everything's clear, and no matter who's like elected in office, there's these agreements, you're just fine tuning or revising them. But I'm glad you all have been meeting, and I know to the public, it looks like we haven't been moving, but we have.
Ms. Torres, may I add one thing?
Sure.
I think you hit it right on the nail. The frustration, and Ms. Lopez, this is probably what you and the other council members are experiencing, is the fact that there are some things that we're discovering that have not been formalized. And these agreements, these verbalized agreements, are things that put both the city and the district increases the liability. And so just because, and I share this for the public, just because it's something that we've always done, doesn't mean that it's within the previews of our respective bodies limiting liability. And so that's really what we're trying to do, is we're trying to look at all of those agreements, look at the ones we don't have, but we're actually in partnership with, and formalize those so we protect all agencies, the community as well. We just want to make sure they're safe for people. We want to make sure they're clean. And we want to make sure that we reduce the amount of liability that potentially could be at each agency could be at risk, given these events are not formalized. So that's really what we're trying to do. And I just wanted to say that publicly so the public knows that, we're working on it. I am very optimistic through my superintendent's lens. Hawk has been a great addition to the city, and I think he shares our values and the values of the city council and the values of the board. So I'm very optimistic that within the coming months, we will be a lot closer than we are now.
Thank you. Is there any other comments on this?
If I may, like I said, Jerry hit it right on the knob. And like I said, coming from, El Paso, where we had a amazing collaboration with ISDs, is something, I've been trying to introduce. And like I said, Godinez might be the test subject. And I think, where we're headed, it's kind of opening up some eyes. So, that would work, hey, that's not a bad idea, to where we can, put it in motion. And then, if it's, like I said, successful, we can, start, moving on like that, so that everyone can benefit from, not just, our park facilities, but as well as the school facilities. So, we are, working on it. And as I said, it's not the easiest right now with the election season going through and being over, but now that it's, finally, about the, hit its in course, we can get back to, if there are newly elected officials and, their vision and their support for what we do.
Good.
Thank you. I have a question for Jerry and for Hawk, because I heard you say that possibly a pilot is going to start at Godinez, and I'm just curious as to why not at a community city-owned center, like somewhere like Roosevelt Walker, or there's another one like off of Lacey. why are we just starting with one site and one site that is SAUSD when the city has community centers?
I will add, and then Hockey jump in. The Roosevelt Walker site is probably an easier one that we can solve probably a lot quicker. That's low hanging fruit. I think the Godinez one goes back decades and is a little bit more complicated, and we want to use that one as kind of like our template for potentially a global one. So we're not having to have 15 different discussions around 15 different MOUs, where we create one MOU that encompasses all of the partnerships, all of the agreements, all of the joint facility uses.
Yeah, and just
There'll be more to go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. And just add on to that, Councilmember Lopez, if any neighborhood association that does want to use a city-owned facility, they're more than welcome to at a free of charge. They just need to say, just come and talk to us and get with us. It's just like I said, with a lot of these neighborhood associations, it's much convenient and more easier for them to be at one of the school district sites. And, that's what we're trying to work toward.
So is the idea you're starting with the more difficult ones so that the other ones just kind of fall in more easily? Is that the?
I think the Godinez situation, the challenges are really transparent challenges. I don't want to go into too much detail because we've had some really good conversations, but it's a really complicated agreement, and Hawk and his team are really doing a good job of listening to our concerns and the challenges that we have as a school and as a district. And to their credit, they're really trying to, they understand and really trying to see how this situation fits in, but also other situations that are similar to this across the city. And what we don't want to do is make a global decision without working out the bugs on a much smaller scale. The Godinez is just the school district and the city. And so, there's only two parties involved. So I think working out the bugs on that small of a scale, we're very close to doing that. When we start to expand, then we start to bring in other organizations, nonprofits and stuff like that. And it gets a little bit more complicated, your community leagues and stuff like that. And then we have to discuss equity and who has access to what and at what times. And it just gets a little bit more complicated. At the school site, it's just two agencies right now. And, we can work through those bugs, and hopefully as we expand this process that we learn from those mistakes and be able to address them before they become issues as we continue this work.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? I see a hand raised, but I don't know if that's a staff member or the public. The public comment session is over.
Ms. Torres, I believe that's Margarita. She is the one that oversees our neighborhood associations. So
Okay, so it's a staff member.
Yeah, she might be able to, give us some more details, because she's very good at what she does.
Sure. If you want to go ahead and weigh in, Margarita.
Yes. Hi. Thank you, Chairperson and everyone else. I just wanted to share that as a staff member who was involved 15 years ago when it was an easier process, it's definitely evolved. And in all fairness, just post-COVID, it's been much more, I think we've been focusing more on the risks and the coverage and the fact that, you don't have the custodians at each of the school sites. So, we've factored all of that in earlier conversations with Jerry and the team. And so I think as Hawk and Jerry and staff, move on to some recommendations, in the meantime, I think what's surfaced more is the relationship building from the neighborhood leaders connecting with their school. And, we talk about how important that is because it's helping to broaden the outreach to include more people part of the table and to see about how the principals and the neighborhoods could collaborate on topics that are meaningful to both, which is quality of life, but it's an opportunity to also educate the neighborhood about what the school is accomplishing. So I could see more of that continuing as we work towards a solution for the long term. That's all.
Thank you so much for those comments. And I know we have, we are beginning like a community school initiative. So maybe in a future joint meeting, we can give a small presentation on that because I think it might overlap with neighborhood associations that are outreaching to parents more and all that. So go ahead, Mr. Almendares?
I just want to add too, there are also opportunities for both the city and the district to co-sponsor, making these community meetings really, collaborative in a sense, allowing time on these agendas for the school district to share the activities that are happening within the school district, but also the city to share the things that are going on. And in some cases, maybe even joint activities between the city and the district. And that's a very important term for us to kind of wrap our head around, is the co-sponsoring. It takes care of a lot of other issues that we're facing. And so I don't want to go into too much details behind the scene because we're having discussions around that, but it's really an opportunity for us as a district and as a city to co-sponsor these activities to really create some opportunities for the community that would be beneficial.
Thank you. Any other comments? Go ahead, Councilmember Lopez.
And just lastly, as somebody that championed the subcommittee on the council several times, it really makes me happy to hear that our staff is collaborating with SAUSD staff in a very healthy, productive manner. I appreciate Margarita's comments. I appreciate the work that Hawk and your team you're doing on behalf of us on our end, and to all the work that Jerry and his team are doing. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the recommendations are going to be from your team, Scott, and from Jerry, and hopefully getting this issue finalized once and for all.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, so we're gonna, next on the agenda is our subcommittee member comments. We're gonna start with Subcommittee Member Hernandez.
Thank you, Chairperson Torres. Just wanted to say thank you, everybody, to staff for working collaboratively with Santa Ana Unified. I think, I'm very thankful in retrospect for Councilmember Lopez taking the lead on bringing these bodies together. On many occasions, she echoed that this was something that, was very important to us in Santa Ana, and very happy to see all of it come together, and looking forward to making progress alongside you all. So with that being said, thank you, everybody, and I'm appreciative of your time.
Thank you. Subcommittee Member Alvarez not here. Subcommittee Member Mendoza.
Yes, I want to thank everyone for your time and for working together in finding resolutions for the issues that come, the joint issues that come up. And I would like to thank all of you for this time being. You'll probably have a new council member or a school board member to make up the rest of the board, as I will not be returning to this body for your next meeting. But I will help in whatever capacity that I have. I will help. Please feel free to call on me as a private citizen, as a school teacher, as a fellow Santa Ana citizen. So thank you. And I really enjoyed working with all of you. You're very professional, knowledgeable, and I enjoy the friendship and the professionalism and friendship that you extend to me. So I wish you a very happy holiday, a happy new year, and we'll see you in 2023 with some more issues and resolutions in our own different capacities. Thank you and Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Subcommittee Member Mendoza, and thank you for your service on the council. Subcommittee Member Lopez.
Thank you, Chair. This is a very short meeting, and I did not add an item this time, but I did want to highlight two issues. One of them are one of our community members highlighted earlier. So I just want to thank, Vice President Torres, Board Member Alvarez, and Superintendent for working with us very quickly to address the pedestrian and traffic safety concerns at Jefferson Elementary. One of the intentions for creating this space was to give the community a space where they can come and voice those concerns, right? Not just to one body, but to both bodies here. And so specifically, we installed striping along Rita Way to prohibit drivers from stopping in front of driveways and from making U-turns. And additionally, a crossing guard is scheduled to be on duty temporarily through the end of the school year. And, in the future, this intersection is going to be evaluated once the school district completes school improvements. So I just want to thank the parents again for voicing that concerns, for letting us know that this was a safety issue that you all had, and for giving us the opportunity to provide a solution. Again, it's temporary. We're looking to do a more long-term one, and we're continuing to do the work on our end. Secondly, my office is working with the school district. I've been in contact with Superintendent Almendares. I let you know that we have some traffic concerns in the Portola Park neighborhood with the John Muir School. And you did let us know that the school is having an event on, I believe it's Friday, December the 9th. My office is going to share information and let the neighborhood know that they can expect some, possibly, some traffic flow. And I know that you have plans, and I'm happy to, if you want to share some of those plans, feel free to do so. And so this is, the partnership that I was looking forward to, and I'm hoping to see more of it. And thank you for helping me address those issues. And to Subcommittee Mendoza, thank you so much for being on the subcommittee, for supporting it. And I hope that you get some rest, and thank you for your work.
Thank you. On my end, I'm very grateful for this space. I think it's way more like intimate than like the city council and the board meetings. And I think it's an easier space for residents to come and just be like, this is an issue. Who can help me with this, from both of our bodies, as Council Member Lopez stated. So I think it's helpful for both bodies to hear it. Thank you to the city staff that's here. Thank you for the superintendent being here and making this a priority in your day. I appreciate it. And I think it's easy to get things done a little quicker when you're paying attention to what's going on. And then I think some issues that maybe we can at some point talk about again are community schools. I think schools sometimes have events, and I think this might be what's going on in Muir, but other events where like they would like just one road closed, like for Day of the Dead or things of that nature. And I think if there's like a streamlined process for schools to do that with city support. When I was talking to some staff sites that I was visiting, they're like, I don't know where to start. And so I think that could be helpful for these kind of one-time events or community events that the schools put on. And then the other thing was the kind of unintended consequences, right? Of, we have more supervision for their crosswalk, but then like a street vendor, gets, ticketed. And so I think we maybe can tease through some of those unintended consequences in this space as well, right? Because the last thing I would want to do is, help one aspect of our community and then like be detrimental to another part of our community. And so I'm glad for the caller that voiced those concerns, as the parent. It was super helpful. And then, yes, as Ms. Mendoza alluded to, we do have some swearing ins coming up next week. So the makeup of this committee may change, but I think we will still have the same goals in mind and still trying to work together as well as possible, with sensitivity to our varying interests as different governing bodies, but with the whole point being to help our residents, our families, and our parents in the best way possible. So thank you, Councilwoman Lopez, for making sure we have this space, and also Dr. Alvarez was pushing hard on the school board side as well. And so I think that is it. I lost my paper on my phone. So this is the conclusion of the meeting. The next regular meeting will take place on Monday, February 6th, 2023 at 6 p.m. The meeting is adjourned at 6:37. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.